Torah takes time to talk to us about stray animals and lost clothes. What's Yah really concerned about? Hi, this is Barry Phillips at 10-Minute Torah, day number 3 of the Torah portion Teitze. Let's continue in Devarim on Deuteronomy chapter 22. And talking about not being able to hide your eyes or pretend you didn't see. Let's continue with verse 3. And so you do with his donkey, and so you do with his garment, and so you do with whatever your brother loses, which he has lost and you have found. You're not allowed to hide yourself. And then verse 4, when you see your brother's donkey or his ox fall down on the way, you shall not hide yourself from them. Help them or help him raise them without fail. What's important here? Well, first of all, we're talking initially about a lost donkey and a lost piece of clothing, a garment or a suit of clothes. What's being said here might be referencing as a donkey is an unclean animal that is a laboring animal, and it has a stubborn disposition. So, if you lose this donkey, you may lose the ability to plow your field. The donkey may have stubbornly wandered away and stubbornly decided, I'm not going back home. But a lost animal is loss of value to its owners. It's an unclean animal, as we just said. So what may be being said here is that we are responsible to reach out to those that are living in unclean circumstances and are stubborn about it. We really don't see that many opportunities to rescue a stray donkey in our day, not unless you live in a very rural area given to donkeys being present. For most of us, it has to have a symbolic meaning. So finding people who are living in an unclean circumstance that causes them to be burdened down, and yet they are too stubborn to change that circumstance. I coined a phrase between my wife and I years ago, and we use it still on occasion. Part A says, people are people, and they will prove it every chance they get. So that just simply says that people do stuff, and they're very apt to do stuff that is non-beneficial, that is personally harmful, and is in disregard to anyone else that is around them. People will prove their peopleness all the time. The other part of that is part B that says people are going to do what they really want to do. And it comes back to an old adage that if you really, really want to do something, you only need one reason and opportunity to do it, and you'll grab it and do. If you don't want to do something, no matter how much you may say, oh, well, I wish I could, I certainly would like to. If you don't want to do it, you will find a long list of reasons why you can't. And you just will choose not to. So when there are times that I wonder, why didn't somebody show up? Why didn't someone participate? Why isn't someone going along and helping out, whatever the case may be? No matter how much people say, well, I wish I could, I would if I could, I wanted to. People ultimately, in most circumstances, do what they really want to do. And sometimes that's just stay home and not participate. And it happens. There are extenuating circumstances. There are exceptions to that. But oftentimes, that's the case. That now understood, we find people who are living in circumstances that we shake our heads at and say, why don't you just change your circumstance? Why are you staying at that job? Why are you living in that neighborhood? Why are you maintaining a relationship with a person that is obviously seeking your harm? The list can go on. Again, sometimes people are stubborn. Sometimes people don't understand how to live any differently than they have been living, perhaps even generationally. But we can't pretend that we didn't see. And so we are called to help, if at all possible, to help someone remedy their situation. Now, the lost garment is a little bit different. Without a garment, that means you are uncovered and potentially cold. You're unprotected. We may find someone has left a jacket somewhere or a piece of clothing. But symbolically, here we understand that there is a spiritual covering that people at times live without. Where there are those that are, people will look down on them and just, not think much about their estate of life. You may see folks shake their heads and sigh, I don't know why they're doing like they're doing. If they don't have a spiritual covering, if there's no one interceding for them, then they are exposed and they are cold. So therefore, it's up to some of us to pick up that slack, to recognize someone's state of life. It is non-desirable. And if we are really concerned for them, we can't pretend we didn't see. We start crying out to heaven in their behalf. And we go so far as to get involved if it's an available opportunity for us, if it's willing to be received. It's hard to help someone who doesn't want to be helped, or who refuses your help, or even acknowledges that they have a problem. When you see your brother's donkey or his ox fall down on the way, you help them and do not hide yourself from them. You're going to help get them up. This is another part of the same piece of puzzle here. An ox, as we said yesterday or day before yesterday, it represents the house of Ephraim, the house of Joseph. It's Issachar that is symbolized as a donkey bearing burdens and is burdened down. His name Ish, and then Sakar, a man who was hired. The tribe of Issachar was known to be scholars, that they studied very, very deep in the study of the Torah, and they are credited in many times with the development of the Hebrew calendar. They watched the signs of the heavens, knew the times and the seasons and the keeping of time. But that doesn't mean that they don't get burdened down and that they fall. The house of Joseph is well noted for having those that are blessed, rich, succumb to their wealth, and then they fall. People fall and they fail for many, many reasons. So whether they are considered clean as an ox and of the house of Joseph, or unclean as a donkey, or symbolized perhaps by Issachar, and have been fully involved in studying Torah and teaching Torah and observing things in the Torah. They may be scrupulous, they may be kind of so-so. But if they fall, we can't pretend that we don't see. It says that we are to help their owner get them up without fail. Rescuing people is hard work. It's not for the faint of spirit or heart. It's not for those that have a short temper. It's not for those who get easily frustrated. It's not for those that simply want to speak words and walk away. It requires hands-on help at times. It means getting in someone's spiritual face and saying, I love you enough to tell you that this is going to be disastrous. And then walk with them through the disaster. We can't write them off too quick. And the reality is, Yeshua didn't write us off. No matter how many times we didn't heed the warning of impending disaster. So as has been done for us, we are now called to do for others. Think on this, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, shalom.